This video will show you how to replace the rear sealed wheel bearing on a Mitsubishi Lancer. This will be located behind your rear wheel. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. The first thing we have to do is safely raise and support the rear of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. Once you've completed that, you're going to remove all 5 of your 21mm lug nuts so we can get the wheel off of here. Now that we have the wheel off, we have a clear view of our brakes. We're going to have to remove our brake caliper. To do that, we have 2 bolts along the backside right along here to remove. Now for each of these 2 bolts, we're going to be using a 14mm. We're going to fully remove the first bolt to give it a quick inspection and start it back in a couple threads. Now that bolt will hold the caliper in place while we continue on to our next mounting bolt down along the bottom. To take hold of that caliper, we'll remove that mounting bolt up along the top and slide the caliper out of place. Now that we have the caliper off of there, take a quick peek at your brake pads. If it looks like they're worn at an angle or damaged in any way, you're going to want to replace them. These look fine, so I'm going to set it aside, putting no pressure on my flex hose. Let's get the brake rotor off of here. A quick inspection of that, of course, will set it aside. Now that we have the brake rotor out of the way, we have a clear view of our rear wheel bearing. Now you want to pay close attention to your parking brake shoes. We're in the same area. If your parking brake shoes look like this, go ahead and replace them with some brand new ones from us. Now with that said, we'll continue on with the removal process from along the back side of the rear suspension. Along the back side here, we can see the back of the wheel bearing. We have our ABS wheel speed sensor wire that leads to the back here. It's held in place with a 10mm mounting bolt. Remove that bolt, a quick inspection, and then remove the sensor. Now as you can tell, our 10mm headed mounting bolt broke. But that's okay, I'm replacing the wheel bearing anyway. I just have to replace the bolt. As long as we can get this ABS wheel speed sensor out of here, we're doing all right. Let's go ahead and take hold of that. We'll give it a wiggle and slide it out and away. It's got some movement. Looking at that sensor, I can tell that it's not damaged in any way. It's definitely reusable. We can see the end of the bolt. Like I said, we're not worried about that. Let's continue on to the next 4 pieces of mounting hardware. We'll use a 17mm for all 4 of these bolts. For the first mounting bolt, I'm going to fully remove it, give it a quick inspection, and start it back in just a couple threads. Let's continue on to the other 3. For good measure, let's use some penetrant along the backside here. We'll let that do its job. Now I'm starting in a second mounting bolt. This one's out in the open where I can easily access it. I'm going to be using my air hammer along the backside here, driving the wheel bearing out and away. Now once you have movement from that, we're going to hold on to it, remove our 2 mounting bolts. Continuing on, we need to separate the wheel bearing from the backing plate assembly. Now we can pull this down to an area that we can gain access along the back. We can see the back of the wheel bearing. It protrudes through the backing plate bracket. We need to drive this out and through. Now for this, if you had something you could rest this on, that would be helpful. Otherwise, we're going to have to tap on the wheel bearing itself to break it free. Now you can see where I have this placed. I'm applying pressure where the caliper bracket would be. We'll start hitting along the backside of the wheel bearing, gently driving this out. Keep in mind there's nothing holding this wheel bearing in, so we're making sure nothing's behind this area. Now I'm starting to get some movement here. I'm going to make my way to the other side. You can see that it's making its way down. There it is, friend. Now, prior to installation of any brand new parts, let's make sure we clean and inspect all mounting areas. We'll start in this area using our wire brush and some parts cleaner. Just make sure nothing's rotted and weak and we don't have any miscellaneous buildup. Now we're looking along the back side here. Same thing. Make sure we get inside that port. This is where the wheel bearing was stuck, so obviously we're going to clean it as well as possible and apply some anti-seize to this area. We have our anti-seize. We'll make our way directly around this circular port and along the outside. There we are. Now we're down in this area. Light coating along the base. And then, of course, inside that circle, all the way around. Now I've cleaned, inspected all of my mounting bolts, and as you can see, I like to use blue thread locker. Now let's prepare to install our brand new wheel bearing. Let's get everything aligned and we'll slide it into place. Now we've made sure that we have our ABS wheel speed sensor port facing towards the front of the vehicle. Let's continue on along the back side with our 4 mounting bolts. It's a little bit of a balancing act here to get everything aligned and get those mounting bolts in. Now we have all of our bolts started in. Let's go ahead and snug them up, and then I'm going to torque them to 70 foot-pounds in a crisscross manner. Let's just double check the torque on these just to make sure the wheel bearing has seated properly and not shifted in any way. Now that we know that's torqued, let's focus on our ABS wheel speed sensor next. On that wheel speed sensor, you're going to find that you have a sealing O-ring. We'll apply some high temperature lubricant to that O-ring. This is just lubricating it. Now we can take that and we'll get it in positional on the back side of the wheel bearing, aligning the mounting bolt port. Let's get this in position here. We're pressing it up against the wheel bearing. You can hear an audible click once it is set. After you've aligned that, continue on with the mounting bolt. You can see that I've applied some copper anti-seize to the threaded portion of my bolt. Since our original bolt did break, I am replacing this with a brand new one. Okay, right there feels as though it bottomed out. Just going to attempt to take it just a tiny bit further. We don't want to over tighten it and break anything, but we do want to make sure it's secured and this cannot move around. One last confirmation back here that everything's secured properly. We'll make our way back along the outboard side next. Now it's time for some copper anti-seize. Shouldn't need very much here, just a little bit all the way around. Spread it around as necessary. Now it's time for installation of the rear brake rotor. The first thing we'll do is have a look along the backside. You want to make sure you clean the mating surface where your wheel bearing hub is going to rest against. We'll make sure there's no miscellaneous debris on any of the 3 braking surfaces and continue on with our installation. We're going to take one of our lug nuts and we'll start it on here, preventing the rotor from falling off while we continue on. We have the rotor in place. It's time to reinstall the caliper with the brake pads. You can see that I have a gap in between my brake pads. That's where the rotor is going to slide in between. Slide this over the brake rotor. Continuing on, I have my 2 caliper bracket bolts. I've cleaned the threads and applied blued thread locker. We'll start in each of these mounting bolts, bottom them out. The torque for these will be 80 foot-pounds. Double check to make sure the caliper is properly secured and you have not twisted the flex hose in a way that might restrict brake fluid. Let's get this lug nut off of here. Let's get ready to install the rear wheel. We'll get the wheel in place. Start on all 5 of our 21mm lug nuts. Bottom them out. Get the wheel safely on the ground, and the torque for each of these will be 80 foot-pounds. Now that I've got the wheel back on the ground, I'm going to be torquing each one of my lug nuts in a crisscross manner to that 80 foot-pounds. Torqued. Okay, friend, we finished the installation of our rear wheel bearing. The next thing you want to do is pump up your brake pedal till it's nice and firm. You're going to take your vehicle for a road test. Make sure you hear no odd noises from this area and get yourself a 4-wheel alignment. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.